We're going to be highlighting our communication tools all month long, and here's the reason. Our new church series for this month is called Moving Mission Forward. And in order to move the mission forward, we need to be able to communicate with each other. We need to be able to communicate what's happening in the church to our community, and we need to be in sync together. So this month, we're going to be talking all month about moving the mission forward. This week, I'm talking about reaching the forgotten. Next week, we'll talk about mission in the margins. The week after that, we'll talk about the heartbeat of the mission. And in the last week, we'll talk about one message, many channels. It's all about moving the mission forward. And as we continue to move the mission forward, we want to think about reaching the forgotten. If I was to ask you right now, what is Vienna's mission statement? You've heard it every week for the last year and a half. But if I was to ask you right now, why do we come to church every week? What is the mission of this church? Who thinks they could recite the mission statement right now? Anyone? I think we all can. I think we all can. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's recite the mission statement together. You've heard it for a year and a half. On the count of 3. 1, 2, we exist. I heard you. I'm not sure they heard you on YouTube. Let's do it again. 1, 2, we exist to reach out to the forgotten, to bring them to follow Jesus into forever. You don't... Okay, I got an idea. This side over here, you do the words in white. This side over here, you do the words that are in color. And let's see if we can get together in unison doing the mission of the church. Okay, guys, it's all on you to kick it off nice and loud, because if you don't go loud, they're not going to go loud. Okay, over here. 1, 2, 3. We exist to reach out. Okay, that was good. That's good. But I think they might have been louder. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to do the white words. And you're going to do the color words. And look, there's less of them on that side. So get ready. 1, 2, 3. We exist to reach the... Whoa, okay, because we're getting good now. We're getting good, because we're doing this for a reason. Because we've heard this every Sabbath for a year and a half. And we all should know it. One more time. Everyone all together with that same focus, like they brought it this time. Let's do it all together with that same focus they brought. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We exist to reach out to the forgotten, to bring them to follow Jesus into forever. Do you believe that's what we're for? Do you believe that that's why we exist? Do you believe that it's all about seeking those who are forgotten? Well, can we be honest a little bit today? Because sometimes we get caught up in focusing on the 99. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know where I'm going. Sometimes we're concerned, are the 99 going to leave the flock? Sometimes we're concerned, is the 99 going to be happy with the way the shepherd leads the flock? Sometimes we're worried, like, is the 99 going to meet the shepherd at the gate and overthrow him? Are we keeping the 99 safe, fed, and familiar? So much that we stop hearing the heartbeat of the one who is missing. Now, when I talk about the one who is missing, I'm not just talking about your friend who skipped Sabbath school. When I talk about the one who is missing, I'm not just talking about the young adult who stopped coming to church because it was irrelevant to them. When I talk about the one that is missing, I'm not just talking about the person who got angry that we don't sing enough hymns that they like. So they're worshiping at a different location. When I talk about the ones that's missing, I'm talking about the ones that Jesus claimed. I'm talking about the ones that Jesus said were his. I'm talking about the ones that Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice, and when they hear it, they will come. I'm talking about those who are missing that maybe we've never even heard. One day, Jesus sat down and Jesus began to teach. And as he sat down and he was teaching, the scribes and the Pharisees and the religious leaders, they weren't so upset. Like, Jesus just took a seat and he just began to teach. And the thing about it is, they weren't so upset about what he was teaching as to who he was teaching to. They were concerned about the kind of people Jesus gave his attention to. They were concerned about, why did Jesus have a tax collector in his group of disciples and a zealot who is a terrorist? Simon the Zealot, he was a terrorist. Why did Jesus have him as a disciple? And why that guy Peter, man, he cusses. And there's this Mary lady, everybody knows what her profession was at Magdala. And why does she travel with Jesus? See, they weren't so upset about the message as they were about the method. It's okay to say things, they thought, but it's not okay where you put your focus. It's not okay where you put your attention. And how was it that Jesus was changing the focus and the attention off of them? After all, they had been the faithful of Israel. After all, they had kept the nation running smoothly. After all, they had been the guardians and protectors of the scrolls. Not these fishermen. Not these paupers. Not women from Magdala. But Jesus had eyes for the forgotten. Jesus had eyes for the tax collectors. Jesus had eyes for the tax collectors and other notorious sinners. And today I'm using a new iPad, and it's not moving my slides, but I'm going to keep moving. It says in Luke 15, Jesus brought together tax collectors, and the NLT says notorious sinners. And they often came to sit with Jesus, it says, and to listen to Jesus. And this made the Pharisees, this made the scribes, this made the teachers of the religious law complain. He was associating with such sinful people and even eating with them. Now, please understand that in the biblical times, to eat with someone is the ultimate acceptance of them belonging to your family. Listen, in biblical times, you don't eat with people who aren't in your family. You know, because in biblical times, please understand, these are your forks and your knives and your spoons. And so whoever you eat with, you want to know where their hands have been. Jesus shares this common place with even notorious sinners. And he looked at these scribes and he looked at these Pharisees and he told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, one of them, what would he do? What would he do? Would he not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go search for the one that is lost until he finds it? Kind of like my slide is lost. I don't know why it's only giving me every other slide, but we'll fix that later. But here's the point. The religious leaders, they're like, why are you doing things different? The religious leaders are like, why are you attracting these people? The religious leaders are like, this is not the Israel we know. The religious leaders are like, you are shaking up our comfort. And Jesus is like, hey, our people herd sheep. That's what we've done since we were imprisoned in Egypt. We are sheep herders. So you religious leaders, tell me this. Would a sheep herder, a shepherd, not leave 99 sheep and go after looking for the one that is missing? Would that not happen? Would he not do that? Why is it that you have problems with prostitutes? Why is it that you have problems with people who have sexual immorality issues? Why is it that you have problems with people who dress different than you? Why is it that you have problems with people who eat different than you? Why is it that you have problems with people who have problems just like yours, but their problems are worn on the outside and they admit to it? You want me to recite Moses to you about how you are so much more better because you are in my herd. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. He leaves the 99. It's radical. It's radical. It's not good economics. It doesn't make sense when you balance the budget. It's bad math. He has 99 sure sheep. And he's going to radically leave them. How is he going to leave them? Radically. There's no mention of anyone staying behind. They have the same dangers as the one, but the one is alone. And he's going to leave the 99 and he's going to go after one. It's not logical. Hear me. It's not logical. It's not logical. It's love. And if you think love is logical, you don't know love. It's relational. The 99 church, they have each other. You are each other's protection. But the one has nothing. A great book I like to read sometimes is a great commentary on the parables called Christ Objects Lessons. In that book, the author says, the sheep that has strayed from the fold is the most helpless of all creatures. Are you hearing it today? The sheep that has strayed from the fold is the most what? Helpless of how many creatures? Who should get the resources? Those who can help themselves, those who have a herd to belong to, or those who cannot help themselves, those who are the helpless of all creatures. Where should the mission be focused on? The sheep that has strayed from the fold is the most helpless of what? All creatures. It must be sought for because it what? It cannot find its way back. It cannot what? Do you understand what this means? This is the creature's home. Always has been. They just don't know it. In fact, she also goes on to say, and apparently, it's going to give me that slide, great. She goes on to say, Christ would have died for who? One soul. You see, we can say, we don't need to be a big church. It's really easy for us to say, I kind of like my church small. I know everybody in it. It's kind of like we can say, well, isn't there enough people already? We're not doing that bad. But I believe this. If you look around at all the empty spaces in here, even in the balcony, I believe this. They're empty because someone is missing. Someone is missing. There is not a seat in this place that Jesus has not claimed for someone. Someone that he would have died for. No, let me take that back. Someone he did die for, who still needs to find their way home. Christ Object Lessons goes on to say, he does not look carelessly upon the flock that is safely housed. He said, I have 99. And it will cost me too much trouble to go searching for the stray. He does not look at it that way. No sooner does the sheep go astray than the shepherd is filled with, look at those words, with grief and anxiety. Jesus has grief and anxiety about every empty church, every empty seat in this church. I don't know about you, but I have anxiety and grief for people I love too. But Jesus loves everyone, and Jesus loves everyone much deeper, much fuller, much complete, much more than I do. No sooner does the sheep go astray than the shepherd is filled with what? Grief and anxiety. So in the parable, the shepherd goes out in search for what? The lost sheep. In Jesus' day, like I said, he had zealots on his team. In Jesus' day, he had drunkards. And in fact, they used to say about Jesus, they used to say, look at this guy. He's a glutton. He eats too much. I've been accused of that before. And he's a drunkard. Well, I've not been accused for that in many years. They'd say, he eats with tax collectors and notorious sinners. He eats with people who don't go to church on the right day. He eats with people who are maybe young adults full of doubt and insecurities. He eats with people who would rather hang out in the Connection Cafe than to come into the sanctuary with everybody else. He eats with people who we have to slack over and over, text for those who don't know, over and over to make sure they'll make it to church. He eats for people who don't show up for their assignments when they're scheduled. He eats with people who are difficult. Please, who is lost in our church? Who is forgotten in our church? And what are you willing to sacrifice so that they may be found? Jesus sacrificed 99 sure meals. 99 sure shears, which would have been to wealth and wool. Jesus was willing to sacrifice the whole flock. Jesus was willing to pay the cost. You'll know what the cost was. Jesus came to this earth. He came to this planet. He was mocked. He was belittled. He was killed and crucified. He was giving everything to find the lost, to move the mission forward. Listen, there will always be a cost to moving the mission forward. There will always be a cost for seeking the lost. There will always be a cost for how many baptisms we have done this year, and we are breaking records. Yes, sometimes you will have to put up with your senior pastor talking too long, and sometimes you'll have to deal with the fact that he's wearing jeans to church. Now everybody's looking. because somebody told him they don't always feel comfortable here because they don't fit in. Yes, you have to deal with the hallways being a little bit noisy sometimes. And thank God there's people there making noise. Yes, you'll have to deal with both drums and a saxophone. Yes, you'll have to deal with pictures on moving TVs as you walk down the hall because people don't listen enough to know what their mission is to invite their friends. Moving mission forward has a cost. I just ask you when I'm in that baptistry today to ask yourself, is the cost cheap enough? I ask you to do this. If you have been here in the last 4 weeks, if you've been here for 4 weeks straight, if you have, you deserve a medal. If you've been here the last 4 weeks, tell me which weeks we didn't do a baptism. Yeah, that's where we're at. We have to stop and think when we didn't do a baptism. Does it mean what does it mean? It means this. It means that when he found that sheep, he will joyfully. How? Oh, come on, where's your joy? He will what? When he has found it, he will what? Joyfully carry it where? This is their home. Who is church for? Going all the way back to last year. Who is church for? Us or them? Both. Because once it's for them, they become us. Church is for both us and them. This is our home, but if you love Jesus, you make room for his friends. Moving mission forward means having joy. Joy even when we're learning new songs. Joy even when the hallway's too loud. Joy even when someone eventually it's going to happen. They're going to sit in your seat. I saw Bill Pickering on the other side of the church today, and I said, this can't be right. I can't preach if he's on the wrong side of the church. I'm glad he found his way back to his side. But the day will come where there will be no one seat. Because every spot in this sanctuary belongs to someone who's lost. Someone that Jesus wants to put. Listen to me. Someone that Jesus wants to put on your shoulders. Not his, your shoulders. To joyfully carry them home. Do we understand what he is doing? Do you understand what he is calling you to? We exist to lead the forgotten, to follow Jesus into forever. It's not just Jesus carrying them home because his shoulders are no longer on this planet. It's Jesus carrying them home on your shoulders. look around at all the missing people and ask yourself this one question. How big are your shoulders? How big are your shoulders? When he arrives, he will call together his friends, his neighbors, and he will do what? Oh, someone said those pastors need to stop shouting, Pastor. Someone said those pastors are too loud. Pastor, someone said those pastors are just too happy up there. Someone said, are they doing celebration up there? All I got to say is when Jesus carries a sheep back on his shoulders, he calls all his neighbors and he says, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice that they were too loud at the Connection Cafe. Rejoice that we had to learn a new song this week. Rejoice that there was a slide that moved too fast. I had to wait for the rotation to go around. Rejoice that someone loved Jesus enough to shout. Rejoice with Johan today. Rejoice with Jesus. Because I have found my lost sheep. Yes, yes. The 99, yes, they represent stability. The 99, they represent safety. The 99, they represent familiarity. But it is the one lost that Jesus is seeking. And it's the one lost. According to N.T. Wright, he says, Jesus is not content to keep a tidy club of religious insiders. He is launching a movement in Vienna. He is launching a movement that goes after the broken and celebrates their return. Jesus has a little lamb out there. Hear me, please. I'm going to go up to the baptistry in a minute, but hear me, please. Jesus has a little lamb out there that he's waiting for you to carry home to Vienna. And if you don't do it, who will? Jesus says this through the pen of C.S. Lewis. It's not the remembered, but the forgotten he goes after. He leaves the self-righteous to the righteousness. And he seeks the lost. If you're wondering where Jesus is, he's out there, not in here. He leaves here every week to go look after the sheep we can't remember. He leaves here every week to go tend the sheep that we have forgotten. If you're wondering where Jesus is this week when you're feeling dry, if you're wondering where Jesus is when you're feeling alone this week, if you're wondering where Jesus is when you're feeling confused this week, go spend some time with the forgotten. Because that's where you will find Jesus. This is the Vienna. You notice? This is the Vienna Jesus wants. You notice? This Jesus is not shaking his finger scolding. You notice? This Jesus is not upset that the stage is messy. You notice? This Jesus is not wondering if it's decaf someone is putting in the Keurig. You notice? This Jesus' joy is on the sheep that found its way home. Look at the sheep behind now, my Jesus. They're not biting. They're not showing their teeth. I work very hard to make those smiley sheep. I don't know how you make sheep smile. But there they are. And that's what we should do when we carry our sheep back home on our shoulders. We have some action steps, and then I'm going to go get ready and meet Johanna in the baptistry. Pastor Coasley will take over for me in a minute and walk you through the appeal, but I want to quickly go through these action steps. If you want to help us move mission forward, this is what we are asking. Please take your little card. Please take your little card. Please fill this out. People not filling this out and handing it in means that the little lamb who came in today may not either. But you filling out this card and handing it in means the little lamb that came in today may fill it out and hand it in too. Here are the 3 steps it's going to ask you. 1, I will notice who is missing, and I will take action. Number 2, I will use my time, effort, and attention to seek out the forgotten, whether it's in the church or in the community. Number 3, I accept that church is more than just about my own needs. I pray as I leave to go to the baptistry. I pray as I leave to secure someone else's relationship with Jesus. I pray as I leave to carry a little lamb on my shoulders into the waters of life. I pray, and I leave it to Pastor Coasley to hit it home and to pray you guys into the will of Jesus. That not a person in here would not make these commitments to help bring our little lamb home.